Shalom, Kohulo Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Raha Hakadash. Double honors to the apostles and others, great millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. My name is Barack Abbar, coming to you from the GMS campus of Indianapolis. And to all those listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom, especially to the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that make up the 12 tribes of Israel. I have a title. I'll just make sure to put it, to frame it correctly within the within the YouTube, just for the sensitivity of what I'm about to go into. But uh, but we're gonna go right into it, and but we're gonna start with um the book of Genesis chapter 25 verses 23. It says, and the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. Now, when you look up, go further up, 2025, um, this is Rebecca who had conceived child, okay? And she had conceived, in this case, she had conceived, it was Jacob and Esau. And it says two manner of people. Okay, so when they would come out of her womb, these will be two different people, in behavior, in spirit, in totality, their whole makeup, right? Like it said, um, Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And as the brothers have gone into, you go into that word plain, speaks of him being righteous. And Esau was a man of the field. He was a hunter. So these were two totally different men. And when you even look at it in today's time, you see that most cases, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man um, are tend to be closer to home. They're not out in the field, going up mountains, hunting animals. But as you can see, as far as Esau, the so-called white man, they have been more of the adventurous type. Theme parks, roller coaster rides, bungee jumping, deep diving into oceans, and things of that nature. All right. And it says, separated from thy bowels, that one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. And of course, when they were born, Esau came out first. All right. And this actually, again, another thing that we mentioned to confirm that we are in the end of the world is that when they were born, Jacob's hand held the heel of Esau. Esau came out first. And as you see, it says the elder, Esau being the elder, shall serve the younger. So currently, the elder is ruling the entire earth. And as it tells us in Second Esdras chapter 6, it says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." So we know that we are at the end of an age, a rulership of Esau, Edom, and so eventually the tables will turn. Uh, things will change where the poor of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, which are the Israelites, will eventually be placed on top. But in the process of all of that, Deuteronomy 28 comes to mind, and it talks about the curses, all right, the conditions in which the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians would be in the last days. And when you read Deuteronomy 28, you find that there are several afflictions. They're the blessings, but then you see that there are going to be several afflictions that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians will go through throughout history, and especially in these last days, that would signify, or in other words, a token, a sign to show who these people would be. And these same people would be the ones that would be able to go through because they were created to go through these great afflictions, right? Such as going into captivity, being in harsh slavery, okay, having their children during slavery taken away from them, having infighting, eyes being evil toward their brother, um, their eyes being evil toward their women, uh, the nation that has control over them, you know, pretty much wearing them out, um, constantly working, disease ridden, um, in all cases, right? And then going into Deuteronomy 28 verse 68 said he should go into Egypt, which is bondage, again with ships. All right. So when you look at all these different conditions and throughout history, the things in which the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians have gone through, you'll see that through that struggle, even up into this very time, that the people has been to a certain higher level used to going through um, certain conditions and issues, fatherless homes, um, where run by mom, uh, having food stamps, no money, no cars, right? Nowhere to really get around, gang violence, and still being able to come out of certain those conditions through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai, because He blesses all upon the earth. But to come out of those conditions and thrive, um, many people. So going back to this, it says, and the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And just thinking again, there's a saying that, the moment, these other nations, but we're gonna highlight the ruling class nation, Esau, Edom. The moment they lose, hundreds of dollars, millions of dollars, go broke, poor, woman leaves them, children turn against them, or some of small afflictions they receive. A lot of times, it is said that they will not only take themselves out, but they will take out their family. Um, Also, you notice that with a lot of their afflictions, that they will take it out on a lot of other people, and so we see this rate um, of mass unalivings, and who actually is the afflictor, of many of these cases. And so the statement or the thing that has been going out is that the so-called, I've mentioned the children, we'll say the people of the Most High, the so-called black men, um, are the criminals. Okay, but we're seeing throughout history, we're seeing throughout um, even today's time, present day, that it is completely different. Now, the people do wicked acts, they do act wickedly, but there are many things in which um, our people um, are not really known to do. Especially, I can, just speaking for myself, growing up, certain things that I had not heard uh, or seen to happen. And of course, we're in a time that these things are increasing. Granted. So let me get this. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 26. It says, the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. So why to bring this out? Because we are in the hand of our enemy. And the scripture tells us to not envy the oppressor and choose none of his ways, right? Because the forward is an abomination to the Lord, and the secret, but the secret's with the righteous. So of course the righteous being the prophets that the Lord sent forth. Reason to choose none of his ways, because that being habitually disobedient right? Constantly going against the ways of the Heavenly Father, which is the mindset of Esau, which again, which makes him a totally different manner of person, uh, will lead to death. And so a lot of times, many of our people have been seduced to go into many of these ways, whether it be music industry, corporate, college, just to name a few. There's several others, and have this belief system, pull on the doctrine of philosophies, and then they get disappointed. And of course, have these mental health issues and other things that come along with it. But also keeping in mind that the children of the Lord would also, wherever you go, rich, poor, like whether you're Jordan, Oprah, Obama, well, not Obama, Salakia, because it's been said that he's a leader. Um, so Salaki on that, but so that's there. But Jake, wherever you go with, and you receive wealth, um, what also follows is those curses. You never get away from those curses. And um, so our people get seduced, and a lot of times, we fall into some of the same habits that the other nations have gone into. And so, getting into the point, the topic at hand, I'm going to go here. This is the book of, actually, this is I did a likelihood of black teens um, unaliving themselves by rope. Let's just say it that way. And so it says, compared to other races, the rate of, as you can see there, um, suffocation of black teen men has been increasing faster than other groups in recent years. So to show you that in itself is showing that it wasn't a thing among the community, but as time and wickedness abound, it becomes a thing. Now, in times past, we've done several violence against our brother Jacob videos, and you notice that within those videos that um, that it was um, how do you say it? Though what we're reading in front of us was a lot of times inflicted by the so-called white nation, whether it was whistling or talking to or false claims of a white woman being um, so a lot of false accusations about like a white woman and find that the person was innocent, but they still went on going into um, the jailhouses and pulling out the man, even some women um, along with their children. There are several videos that have shown that many people, the torture and terror that our people have gone through under the hands of this ruling class society of today. And so to do that to ourselves, was very unlikely because we understood, and then we understood when it did happen. In most cases, it was done by someone of this ruling class society, all right, a part of. It says, though firearms remain their most common method, while white males have historically had higher overall rates, the disparity is narrowing for young people. So, as you can see, I just wanted to pull that up, right? And I thought this was interesting just because it was, 144. If you know, you know. It says black youth, as you can see, rates among black youth has risen faster than any other racial and ethnic group. And, you can see there from John Hopkins study found that from 2007 to 2020, the rate among black youth ages 10 to 17 rose by 144%. So, but then, we always have to take a look at other situations, right? So I asked a question and it took the content out from ChatGPT. But here's you can see it here. It says in the U.S. Um, rates differ significantly by race and method, according to the data from CDC. Says, as you see, white Americans a much higher overall rate than Black Americans. So, um, and then you can see that is one of the most common methods across all racial groups, but because of the overall rate is higher among, as you can see there, then are more likely in totality, excuse me, in total number to die by, as you can see there, right? So then it gives you a breakdown of the rate per 100,000, 17 per 100,000 to 9 per, right? And this again, this is not including the ones that were taken. So in hit taking and there's the L word, um, starts with the L and it rhymes with um, Finch. All right, and so it says in total number, you see white Americans are more likely to buy because they have more overall. So of course they will say that, right? And it says as proportions of Black Americans are more likely to use compared to other methods. All right. So we are just going to draw the conclusion because just a week or so ago, or there were it says upwards to four of the five so-called black men and the white men that was homeless that actually unalived themselves by this way. And so I'm going to it's going to go here. It's going to go here. This was the most one that came out. This was investigators in Jeffrey, Mississippi. Investigators are ongoing after, as you can see, death of two men were reported Monday in Mississippi. All right. And then it says this, and you see Trey, just kind of jumping around, Trey Reed and Corey Dukakis, a white man, right? So Trey Reed, a black student at Delta State, right, 21. Then it scrolled down and you can see a picture of him. It said Reed's body was found at 7 a.m. Monday, you can see from a tree on Delta State campus. The next day, it said it was about like a pickleball court, right? It says the next day, civil rights attorney announced that he had been detained. Um, okay, it says Trey Reed was a young man full of promise and warmth, deeply loved, respected by all who knew him. His family and campus community deserve a full independent investigation to cover the truth of what happened. Said the campus statement, we cannot accept vague conclusions where so many questions remain, right? So, some say, they say it was, he did it to himself, but then there's other things that said that he actually had broken bones and beat up and things of that nature. But in all actuality, he was one again. You could assume being so-called black, coming up from the neighborhoods in which we typically come from. Even sometimes in the suburbs, you have that those curses again never leave you. Um, to get to a point of graduating high school, making that accomplishment, to then going to college, though that it's likely, circumstances of mental health or maybe a girl issue, certain things, but a lot of times the likelihood to have gone through these different struggles in life and to this success, the likelihood um, to take yourself out is a little bit less likely. So I just wanted to bring that out. Again, it's up in the air. People can just draw the conclusions. I just want to speak on it. I'm going to bring this video out. This is what actually sparked me to just really touch on it. This is Dave Chappelle. This is again, this is fair use. This isn't for any economic gain. This is just solely for educational purposes. This is something again that people, there's a lot of seriousness and jest. So in this joke, though it's a very serious topic and what he's speaking on, it is something to consider as to how he is um, pushing this information. And this is what made me think of this young man, right? Just like many others within the so-called black community. So here we go.
Bourdain had the greatest job that show business ever produced. This nigga flew.
Bourdain, which he looks like, so-called white man, as I mentioned in the beginning, two manner of people. So check this out. Let's start it over.
Anthony Bourdain had the greatest job that show business ever produced. This nigga flew around the world, ate delicious meals with outstanding people. That man hung himself in a luxury suite in France. I knew a nigga in high school that was an urban genius. This motherfucker's grades were so good, he got all the way from the hood to an Ivy League school with a full scholarship. From there, the motherfucker got himself into one of the best law schools in the country. And when he was in law school, he met a woman, and they fell in love, and they were gonna get married. And I told him, I said, my man, save that bitch for later in your life. But he's in love. He married her while he was in law school. And sadly, they got divorced. He was a street nigga from the hood. His man had nothing. That bitch took half of that. And then 2 years ago, I was home in D.C. I go to Foot Locker. Guess who's the manager? That nigga. Dressed like a referee, the whole shit. This motherfucker is 45 years old. We went out drinking that night, and he told me, he said he's been living with his mother for like 10 years. The point of the story is, never occurred to this nigga to kill himself. He's alive and well in D.C. Even suggested to him that he should try it out. Like, I don't know, nigga, you might, Anthony.
Funny, but he said again, he came through the hood, he went through all these things, and it never occurred to him, right? So again, we'll end with this to bring it home because again, this is not something that the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai um, has for his people. It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 12. It says, seek not death in the era of your life, and pull not upon yourself destruction with the works of thy own hands. So that goes into, things happen, and um, you may make a mistake or have a certain situation, and then, you want to just leave this world, right? Seek not death in the era of your life, and pull not upon yourself destruction with the works of thy hands. Verse 13 says, for the Most High Yahweh made not death, neither had he pleasure in the destruction of the living. So it wasn't made for us, these things, the issues of death belong to Yahweh Bashar outside. Now, not to go too deep, but everything, that happens is sanctioned through Yahweh Bashar outside. But we'll just leave it at that. So I hope that this lesson was edifying, exhorting, and uplifting, got something out of it to the true believers of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Before we end, we'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Rahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. And to all those listening, learning to you, I say, so long.